All right, we are live. So, welcome to the Biz Breaks Podcast on the Cosmos Radio Network. I am Kevin the Credit Crusher, bringing you some entrepreneurship information, bringing you some great entrepreneurs, some business owners, some people who have gone through or are going through this entrepreneurship journey. And I'm so excited. This is the inaugural podcast. Am I saying that right, Shannon? The inaugural podcast?
You know what? Yes, you are. And I said it to myself this morning.
So the inaugural podcast of the Biz Breaks podcast. So every Thursday, this and every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be broadcasting. You can catch us on our YouTube channel. The name is Promisian, Premisien. We're also broadcasting live on our Facebook page, same name, Promisian, Premisien. You can catch us on Twitter at Promisian. You can also catch me on my personal page. We're broadcasting live on all four of those networks or all four of those platforms at one time. This is incredible. Shannon. So for our audience, Shannon and I were talking offline before we jumped on the broadcast, and we were saying that, this podcast is something new for us. And so we're letting you guys know that we are babies. We are brand new at this, but every episode will be getting better and better. But what we will let you know is the Biz Breaks podcast is real talk for real business owners, right, Shannon? So we are going to be talking to business owners about who they are, what they do, and how they got to this point. And what I want to do right now is introduce you guys to our guest. We have Shannon Reynolds, the VIP princess. And let me just tell you a little bit about who she is. Shannon Reynolds is a talented and experienced sales and marketing director who has represented some of America's premier brands, including Madison Square Garden. That's MSG, the big
Yes,
MSG.
it is.
That's big MSG.
Or
That's
it's the
New York
Garden.
City.
Whoever
The
you're
Garden,
talking to.
right. If you're from New York, it's the Garden, right? It's the Garden, right? So Madison Square Garden, Live Nation, the New Jersey Nets, and the New York Liberty. So that's those home team. Shannon's from Harlem. She's a Harlemite, right?
Born and raised, yes.
Shannon, is it Harlemite or Harlemite?
I think it's Harlem Night.
A Harlemite?
See?
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Right. She's from Harlem.
Yes.
She's a Harlem, home to many great people, including me. I'm from New York too. So we have that in common. Shannon has a track record of combining her entrepreneurial initiative and business management skills to manage all aspects of promotion, sales funnel, and sales marketing teams. Her career has been, now see, this is where life gets real for me. Right? This is one of the things. Listen, I have had a hard time coming to terms with the fact that I have now gotten to the age where I have to wear reading glasses.
I think we need to embrace it.
Yeah. How have you embraced
it? I just feel like it is a rite of passage. It's wisdom.
Okay. Well, here we are. So let me finish here. So her career has been notable for unwavering focus on driving gains in revenue, market share, and profit performance. So, Shannon, I have the privilege of knowing you firsthand. But before I talk about how I know you firsthand, you tell us a little bit about Shannon.
Okay, sure. So, thank you first, Kevin, for allowing me to be your first guest in this inaugural great podcast that you have going on. I think this is really important, especially for the times we're in. And we've known each other for about 3 years, introduced by another great friend, right? Des Shields. Shout out to Des.
Shout out to Des. Listen, Des is one of my oldest friends from college. From my undergrad, we went to Virginia State University together. But shout out to the Trojans. I know, Shannon, you are a HBCU
Spartan.
You're a Spartan from.
There it is. There it is. So let's start there. Norfolk State, born and raised in New York City. HSBCU grad, Norfolk State University, Spartan. Went back home to New York. Started my business in marketing, loved marketing. My degree was general business with an emphasis in marketing. Was in marketing for about 7 to 8 years. Realized, listen, sales is where it's at. I need more money. I like to be face to face with clients. I like to sit down, discuss their goals. And I said, I want a product and service that's fun, that's entertaining, that brings people out. Got into sports about 12 years ago with the Nets, started there. Then went to Madison Square Garden, 2 years there. Then went to Live Nation, New York, 4 years there. Came out in 2018 here in Philly with Live Nation. Then a friend of mine who also went to Norfolk State started his own gospel radio station out here in Philly. Started working with him, director of sales. Started meeting a lot of people that said, hey, I can't hire a sales force, sales department, but I have some work that needs to be done. I need some connections. I need some more sales. So I started the VIP Princess LLC with none other than you.
Because it's one of the things we do. And we'll talk about, what we do. Most people know me, and if those who don't know me, I'm Kevin the Credit Crusher. I run Promethean Credit Counseling. Promethean Credit Counseling is a full service credit counseling agency. We help people, individuals, and businesses get access to capital through credit. And we do both personal and business credit counseling, and we'll get into that more later. But one of the things we do is people who are starting businesses or have started businesses, we will help them establish and build their business credit profile. But if they come to us and they have yet to register the business, we will do that for them as well. So we have we did that together. You decided to walk upon this entrepreneurial journey, and we were instrumental in helping. So thank you for coming to us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Shannon, you were at Live Nation.
Yes.
You came to Philadelphia, right? Live Nation.
Yes.
And so Live Nation, you were doing live events, right?
Right.
Pandemic hits. Tell me how that affected and impacted you.
Oh, I think that was like a shock to all of us. I think that's when I really started to say, I need something that's more autonomy. I need some more, I need income that's not attached to a person, place, or thing, but more driven by Shannon. And I think at the time, I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what it pertained. And so in the beginning of 2021, when I started with the radio station, and then I started going out and meeting clients and realizing that a lot of people were still struggling with what happened to them in 2020. That's when I think the VIP Princess LLC was born. It became, oh, this is what I'm already doing for all these other businesses. So why not have my own LLC and help other businesses with sales?
So Shannon, had you ever had an LLC or done a business all on your own prior to this?
So years ago, yes, I had another LLC called Jetty Cares. And this was more, I would say, at the time, I was trying to, me and my younger brother lost our mother to cancer going on 14, it'll be 14 years next month, actually. And so I went through a lot in terms of being the oldest sibling, having to take care of him. He had just turned 16 at the time. And literally he turned 16 and my mother passes away 4 days after that. But prior to that, I had moved back in with them to help take care of both of them. And so a lot of the day to day she couldn't do anymore. So I was driving back and forth between the Bronx. I was living in the Bronx at the time, Parkchester. I was living in Parkchester at the time, and I'm driving back and forth to Manhattan, taking care of her, making sure she's taking care of her medicine, making sure he's going off to school and things of that nature. When she passes away, there was so much paperwork. There was so much that needed to be done. I needed to, leave the Bronx, come take care of my brother, be his full-time guardian, make sure he finished high school, and then make sure he got to college and finished college as well. And just the paperwork and the preparation and, all of just the documents and everything and that caregiving. And now, and at the time, what I didn't know is I was trying to establish a business that allowed a Shannon Reynolds to take care of her mother, to take care of her brother, and still get paid. And now they have that now.
Right,
So
home
that
care.
was my initial start into it. Yes.
Jetty Cares. Listen,
Yes.
that's a big business. I don't know about other places, but I know here in Philadelphia, that is a huge business. The home healthcare business is a huge industry. It's a difficult industry, though. It's a really difficult industry to be in. Listen, let the dog bark. That's my buddy.
Sorry.
That's my buddy. Listen, this is the great news is, by the way, let me just make mention. So we're on the Cosmos Radio Network USA platform. Shout out to the Cosmos Radio Network USA for giving us this opportunity. Showtime, the hype man, is contact. We're broadcasting live here in the United States. We're also broadcasting in Brazil. We're broadcasting in the United Kingdom, or England, as some people refer to. But the Cosmos Radio Network allows us to do this stream and be COVID conscious. So we are exercising our social responsibility here. Shannon was originally going to be in studio, but because we have the ability to broadcast remotely, we decided that she'd stay in her location and I'd be here in studio. And so we're remaining COVID safe. That's our contribution to this pandemic that has gotten out of control. So thank you for being on the show. But we understand. Listen, you're in your house. You're safe. You're keeping us safe. Let the dog bark. Let him do something, right? And if you want to bring him on screen and introduce him, bring him on. So
yeah, so that's I originally started with that idea. I probably did that for about a year or so, and then as I needed money, I needed insurance, and so I chose to go back to work and just learn sales and things of that nature. So that was my first introduction to LLC.
Okay, and you ran that business for how long?
I would say I guess about a year or so. It might have been longer than that. No, I'm sorry. Correct. I distinctly remember I ran it for 2 to 3 years.
Got you. And so, Shannon, I have experienced entrepreneurship from my perspective, and I'm a male. So tell me some of the things that you've encountered as a female entrepreneur that us as male entrepreneurs might not have experienced or might not have any inclination about.
Oh, that's a great question. So not really knowing what you've gone through, I think at that time it was something, again, I didn't know existed, or I didn't know that was about to come on the scene. I just knew that there was an outlet, because I was a child who had went through it, and I was the thing was, it was, if there was no Shannon and you took out Shannon, you just had my mother and my brother. Who would have took care? What would have happened to my brother? Who would have took care of him? Who would have made sure? He had his father, but yet his father lived in North Carolina at the time. The father had suffered a stroke himself. So he was just getting back. And so for me, I think at the time I was surrounded by an amazing friend of mine, just like you are helping me now with the VIP Princess, and also a male. And so he had done this before. He was very good at starting up organizations and getting them to a place where they can, function, and putting everything in order, all the paperwork that needed to be done, and filing and things of that nature. And I think when it came time to clients, because at the time, I'm not the Shannon Reynolds that you read in the bio. So now, I have now 10 plus years experience going on. Sorry, somebody's at the door. 10 years plus years of sales experience going on. And at the time, I had about 7 to 8 years of marketing experience. And so I felt at that time that that business, I really it was in a bubble because I relied on people from my church. I relied on my friends, and just kind of Manhattan, New York at the time. And now with the VIP Princess LLC, I have friends all over the place. Yes, born and raised in Philadelphia, New York, but been living in Philadelphia for the last 3 years. And so my network has grown, right? It's not just this little region right here. It's more or less, and I'm sure you're going to talk about the TEE, but it's more people like that who put you on to different people, places, people you need to meet and things of that nature. So I could just talk to you about being a Black woman in business and how that is we still have a long way to go. And I was thinking about this today, especially, my background is sports and entertainment. And I feel like there's been a push for diversity and inclusion. But when you put a Shannon Reynolds in a room with 7 white males, like, what are we doing here?
Sure.
And you say, well, we realize this organization is back in the times and been around for so many years, talking about like the 1900s, but yet you still hire another white male, right? And let's put our resumes together, right? I've done the work. And so I have the personality, I have the network, I have the bank of business. So that's where we need to have a conversation about that diversity and inclusion part, because I'm not sure if you experienced that, but I know on my side of the business, being in sports and entertainment, it's still very much alive and well. Like it needs to it needs to evolve, and it's not where it should be.
Understood. Yeah. So I have had I ask the question of women all the time because I can talk from a male perspective. I can talk from my perspective, and some of it will resonate, some of it won't. Some of what I've experienced in business is because I'm an African American. Some of it is because I'm male. One of the things that has been one of the things I've experienced throughout my entrepreneurial journey is that I have found it more difficult to collaborate with men because of ego, right? I have been able to collaborate with women much more easily because women don't, in my experience, don't bring the same level of ego. Now, part of what I'm experiencing is probably because women are the soundtrack of my childhood, because I grew up in a single parent household, raised by a woman, beautiful woman, who did wonderful by me. But I only have aunts. I don't have any uncles. I had one uncle who was my uncle by marriage. He was married to my oldest aunt, but my mother only has sisters. And my grandfather, my grandparents were both in my life, but they were far away. My grandfather was in the military, so he traveled a lot, and so I saw him sparingly. But my hero nevertheless. But the thing is, I'm an only child, so I got all of my upbringing, my views and my values from a woman, right? And my mother did everything in her power to expose me to manhood and what her idea of masculinity was. But she moved through this world as a woman, and not only as a woman, but as a woman with very feminine energy, right? And so what that meant is the things that are playing in my subconscious consistently are her voices, right? And her attitudes and her movement. And so how that relates to business is when I get into the business arena, I can talk to women much more easily than I can talk to men. And in fact, that's just common throughout my entire life, my personal relationships, my friendships, my business relationships. So when I go into a room, if I go into a room with 4 women, it's not difficult for me to be able to put together something that we can build upon. But if I go into a room with that same idea and a group of men are there, those egos come out, and it's Shannon, it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think that has prevented a lot of men from being able to build bigger platforms, specifically and particularly in the African American business world, right?
I gotta say, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Whatever, exactly what you said is exactly what I feel when I'm woman. I don't want to say against, but it's always like, I don't know if it's like a fear of I need to keep you. I need to stay above. You can be in the room, but as long as you're behind me and not here and not there. And I feel like I agree. When I've had a male manager, always pushes me to be my best. Always pushes me to be creative, to be innovative, to make mistakes, to learn. And when I have a woman, it's more robotic. Do it the way I told you to do it, the way I'm showing you to do it. I'm not asking you to think outside the box. I'm asking you to think like I think. And it's crushing.
It's so it's wow, this is so these are the conversations about business that I wanted to have on the Biz Breaks podcast. By the way, let me just take a short break. The Biz Breaks podcast on the Cosmos Radio Network. That's a platform. We're on the Cosmos Radio Network USA. You can see behind us. If you want to call in, you can call us in at 267-387-7032. You can always comment on our social media platforms. You can find us streaming live on the Cosmos Radio Network on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, or you can find us on my social media platforms, all the name Promisian. I'm on Twitter at Promisian, Premisiен. We're on Facebook with the same name, Promisian, Premisien. We're also on, I'm also on my personal page. So that's where you can find us. By the way, this episode is brought to you by Promisian Credit Counseling. Promisian Credit Counseling can help you get your scores into the 700s. You can call us 215-904-8690. You can reach us via the web at promisian.com. That's Premisian.com. You can also email us at info@promisian.com. Promisian Credit Counseling, helping individuals and businesses get access to capital through credit. So yeah, Shannon, we're when I envisioned this podcast, it was to have these real conversations with real business owners about the real encounters that they've had, but also to have these male-female conversations as well, because I don't think those things get talked about and discussed enough. We could be so much further along. And we'll get into a little bit of race as well. We won't get into, you know what? We can be controversial. What the hell, right? We can be controversial. So we'll get into race as well, because I think a lot of our listeners are going to be African American. Like I said, we're streaming around the world in different countries, mainly the United States, but we're in England as well, Brazil. But I think the African American experience, the African American entrepreneurial experience is not discussed enough. Certainly people are not courageous enough to really be discussing what's happening in our communities. And so we have the opportunity to do this until they censor us. We're in a cancel culture. So, I'm liable to say something that get us canceled. But until then, I'm non-threatening. So we just want to talk real. But having those male-female conversations,
yes,
because I want to know if we are barriers to women going further if women may be barriers, or men are being barriers to other men, and women are being barriers to other men, and you said it best. I've heard some other women talking about this, that a lot of women are catty, right?
Very much so.
Right. Like, I'm the
And
star.
also, sorry not to cut you off. If it doesn't affect them, they will bury their head in the sand versus saying, let me help you. Let me show you how I navigated this. Let me, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I was a lot of this. And I really try to mentor people who are coming up after me to help them, because nobody mentored me. I had to do a lot of scrapes and bumps on my own, right? And I had a really good friend at the garden who said, there was a lot of frustrations, and I was like, why do I feel like I remember us having a conversation. I said, why do I feel like the quote unquote Black people are working like slaves and the white people are getting pass after pass after pass? And she said, Shannon, you know what you need? You need a mentor. And so I had to reach up. The mentor didn't come to me. She said, listen, there's a senior vice president. She's in communications. This woman was mentoring her staff. And I knocked on her door one day and I said, can we have a meeting? Whatever you're doing for them, can I be put on? Tell me what books you're telling them to read. And she would meet with me once a month. And she said, Shannon, you sound, quote unquote, angry, hostile, bitter, guarded. And I said, and a white woman said, why do you feel so entitled? And I said, is it entitlement, or is it whatever that logo that they get? Why don't I get my fair share? I'm here staying late, making calls, doing what I need to do. You know what I mean? You see my numbers rising, but never said to us, but always kind of like the behind the scenes and things of that. It's about the number and things of that nature. So, but so we had these conversations, and Kevin, there were moments where I wanted to cry, because I'm like, that what I'm giving off? Because that's not how I feel.
Right.
But you feel some sort of injustice. And like you, I was raised by a single mother, young single mother, 17-year-old, grandmother, projects, 1 bedroom. And when people ask me, when I take my lumps and bumps, how do you keep going? How do you get back up? I got to do it for them. They sacrificed to put me in Catholic school, to put me in great schools, education. They didn't get to choose. I quit. Right. Never. My grandmother cleaned hotels at the Sherry Netherland Hotels that's still on Fifth Avenue. And my mother was an underwriter assistant with Prudential Reinsurance for like 20 years. You know what I mean? Never getting really choose. I want to go into marketing. I want to go into sales. I want to work in sports. I want to work. You know what I mean? So me and my brother are very like, no, we got to keep going. And so I know I said a lot, but that was just one experience, Kevin. But I know you said about the race car, because I want to say the reason I a lot of times I feel like I am where I am is because of the Evan Burkheads. Who's Evan Burkhead? Evan Burkhead is the guy who gave me my first job. He's the guy that when I need a bio, when I need a press release, when I need a resume updated, he's my mentor for over 25 years. I came in not knowing nothing, making so many different mistakes. And he's the person that would pull me to the side and be like, no, like, you're doing this wrong. You're messing this up. You know what I mean? He's the person that took the time and was like, let me go meet your mom. Let's us all go out to a Red Sox and a Yankees game.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom is not here 14, 15 years later. And he's a person I go to every time I get a new job, a new opportunity, and things of that nature. And and he's the person that's writing these articles that's saying, dear white people, we effed up. We're effing up. And we keep effing up. How many Black people did you hire in tech? How many people did you train for these positions? How many people did you, full disclosure, I just had an interview for a position. I just was told I didn't get it, right? They wanted somebody more with print and digital experience. Prior to that, I done met with these people for 6 straight weeks, 2 times each. Every time a call came through, I took it. LinkedIn was asked to redo my resume, and then did all of this. And then you come to me, and this is what you tell me. That process should not have went 6 weeks. I should not have had to meet 4 people 2 different times for you to then tell me this is what you were looking for. You knew from my resume I didn't have that experience you was looking for. And so this is when I go to the Evan and I say, Evan. And Evan says, yeah, we may have an issue here.
And so this is the thing I want to do here. I want to expose the issues, right? Because there are a bunch of people that let's just say what it is. There's no discrimination. We don't discriminate in any one of our companies. We do not discriminate on the podcast, but we do call into question issues, right? Mm-hmm. So there are a bunch of white people who are saying we don't know the problems, and I don't believe that's the case. I believe ignorance is bliss, and I believe they're ignoring the problem, because if you acknowledge the problem, then you've got to do work to fix it, right? Mm-hmm. But I also don't want to continue to talk about the problem, because Black people have been yelling the problem for you. I also want to be the solution, and I also want to bring to light what we as Black people are contributing, right? And so the problem is, quite frankly, when we walk into a place, we walk in as Black people, right? Mm-hmm. Italians get to walk in as white people. Jewish people get to walk in as white people. Irish people get to walk in as white people. We get to, I'm sorry, I was just looking and somebody was sending a message. So they get to walk in and they get to disappear into their whiteness. We never get to disappear. We always have this thing at play. And the thing is, it is difficult, if not impossible, to prove that a decision was made as a result of our Blackness, right? You will never know if they took you through all that and they said no because you're Black.
You're correct. And let me just say this. I do not believe that was the reason. But Evan does. Because I will say this. I had another manager say to me when we was going through diversity and everything at Live Nation was there's only 8%, the lowest, right? Out of Asians, Hispanics, of course, white, the lowest, only 8% full-time Black at the time that I was there. I don't know if it's changed, right? It was only a couple of years ago, and we've had COVID for like 2 years, but that's another. And I remember when they were going through the diversity and inclusion, and they was bringing us women in and everything, and everybody's talking about all these metrics and everything. And one woman so they went to the woman, and one woman said, yeah, but what about the money? I want to see, am I being paid the same? And I was like, that's it.
That's it.
They want to skate around that issue. And so fast forward, my boss thought he couldn't come to the meeting at the time. And he said, listen, Shannon, I didn't hire you because you're Black or you're female. I hired you because of your personality. And I knew you would get the job done. All right. And And it made me feel, and I felt it. I knew it, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, the resumes that I gave to help, right, bring in more people, they were like not even looked at. Or looked at him like, no, not enough experience, this, that, so forth and so on. And I'm like, so what are we saying here? Right? What are we saying here? Because, Kevin, I'll tell you this. When I was in undergrad at HSBCU, Walt Disney came to our school and they said, we want to send you for an internship my sophomore year. But when I grew up, as time went on and I graduated and everything, I wanted to be in sports entertainment so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I don't remember any sports coming to Virginia to recruit us. I don't remember nobody, but you going into all those other schools. And I can't understand how the New York Yankees sits in the poorest place, more championships than any other professional. Why aren't there Hispanic and Black kids who are not just scooping popcorn? Why aren't they in management?
Sure.
Where the Shannons at? Where the Kevins at?
So I'm going to say this and then we're going to move to our next segment because I want to get no, there's no apology, Shannon. We are free to do what we want to do. And so if we go over time, that's not a problem. So don't even worry about that. But I want to get to the next segment because I got some stuff that I want to ask you. Okay. But I want to say this. I want to flip it on us, right? So here's the deal. We've got to start showing up better.
Okay.
So, in our businesses, in our professional lives, we've got to start showing up better. We've always had to be better. We've always had to be twice as good to get half as much, right?
Michelle Obama, that's what she said.
That's what she said, right? I didn't coin that. That didn't come from me. That's not original. But here's the deal. In business, specifically in business, I want to charge people. We have got to, in our businesses, we've got to start being better, right? If you own a restaurant, and I hate to go to restaurant because that's what we think of when we think of Black business. We think of hair and restaurants, right? There's so much more than that. And so I'm going to talk to that. But let's say restaurant. If you have a restaurant, if you sell something on the menu, have that or take it off the menu. If you say you open at this time, open at that. Be there early so you can open at that time. If you say you provide a service, provide that service and put all of the things that you need in place to provide that service at a high level. Stop trying to live your businesses off Instagram. Some of us are, and now some businesses play well to Instagram, but have a web presence, right? Have a website, have a business email. Stop using Gmail addresses as your business email. We've got to do things so that we're polished, so that when people do give us the opportunity, or when we earn the opportunity, because people don't give you opportunities, you earn them, right? When we earn the opportunities, people say, you know what, this is a company or this is an individual I want to work with because they took the time to invest in themselves, invest in their businesses, which means they are going to take care of our clients, our constituents, whatever, right? So we've got to be better.
I also want to say this. When you take a mirror and then you flip it around on the business that is shutting you out and saying, oh, we know we have a problem. And then it's like, okay. And then they still do nothing. They still do nothing. They perpetuate, like, that's fraudulent. That's fraudulism, right? It's almost like, and I hate to say this, but someone said to me, now I'm seen as a problem because now I'm taking the flashlight and I'm putting it back on you and saying, here you go. And that's what I was told. By asking these questions, having this dialogue, you don't even have to worry, because now I'm seen as a problem when I should be seen as the solution to the problem.
Yeah, that's the that's an unfortunate position.
Yes.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right?
Yes.
Right. So
and that's all I need to say about that. So if you want to move on.
So I love it. Like I said, love it. And we're definitely going to have you on more than this time. We're going to invite you back over and over and over again because, again, great conversation.
Because I'm telling you, there's some things that's about to shake. And I'm telling you.
You got some stuff you want to talk about? I got some stuff I want to speak about.
Yes.
Well, Shannon, this next segment is I call our speed round. Before we get into the speed round, again, this episode is brought to you by Promesian Credit Counseling. Are you a business owner? Are you looking to build business credit? Do you want to expand your business but don't want to use your personal credit cards to do so or use your personal cash? Let Promesian Credit Counseling help you establish and build your business credit profile so that you can get access to thousands of dollars that you need to help run your business. Promesian Credit Counseling, your individual and business credit counseling agency. Reach us at 215-904-8690, web at promesian.com. That's PREMISIEN. You can also visit us, you can email us at info@promesian.com. We're also on every social media platform there is with the name Promesian. That's PREMISIEN. And you're listening to the Biz Breaks Podcast on the Cosmos Radio Network USA. If you want to call in, you can do so at 267-387-7032. That's 267-387-7032. And we'll be glad to talk to any callers that want to call in. So anyway, Shannon, here's what I want to do. I want to ask you some questions. I want to ask you 4 questions, okay. And I want you to give your answers. Don't worry about how long. Try to keep it succinct, but give me your answer, and then I'm going to give you my answers to those same questions. Is that cool? Put you on the spot. This put you on the spot, so you can't. I didn't prep. So by the way, to the audience who's looking, I did not send the questions ahead of time because I want genuine answers from people, right? Yeah. So now I gotta. Here we go.
I feel like Steve, like I'm on Family Feud.
Family Feud. This is speed round. All right. So let's see. What book had the biggest impact on your entrepreneurial or personal journey?
Who Moved My Cheese?
Ooh. Talk to me about it.
I discovered that book before the pandemic. I used to love to go to Barnes and Nobles just to see what everybody was reading, the top nonfiction, what stays on the top, New York's best top seller, business, sales. One day I'm in Barnes and Nobles. It's kind of late, maybe like 6:00. And I remember this. And pick up a couple of books. This is what I always do. I would walk around those tables, pick up a couple of books, find a little chair, and just go through them real quick. I get to Who Moved My Cheese. And at the time, I don't think I had heard about it really. And Kevin, I finished that book in that Barnes and Nobles. It might have took me a little bit, either under an hour or over an hour, like page by page by page. And it changed the way, not only for business, but relationships, seeing the change, being the change, staying too long, being ready to go, being flexible, and being okay with you not being at a job or a position or a relationship for 10, 20 years. You know what I mean? Just seeing the writing on the wall. So that's the book that did it for me.
Who Moved My Cheese? Great book. Great
Yes.
book. That is a great book. I don't recall the name of the author, but for those of you looking,
me neither.
I read it so long ago. So Who Moved My Cheese? Great one. So for me, it is a book I just finished reading not too long ago called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And again, guys, I am not divisive. This is not a divisive podcast. It just so happens it's the autobiography of Reginald Lewis, who back in the early 90s put together one of the largest acquisitions. Reginald Lewis is an African-American born in Baltimore, Maryland, who bought and owned Beatrice Foods. which was one of the largest acquisitions, a $1 billion acquisition back in 90. I believe the deal went through in 92 or 93. But I read the book because Reginald Lewis happens to be an alum of, he passed away in 94, but he was an alum of Virginia State University. We also share the same name. So I call him Unc. Don't know if it's true, but I'll claim it. But Reginald Lewis, some time ago, was the wealthiest African-American in the country prior to his passing. And again, he made most of his money through this acquisition. He'd made a lot of money prior to that, but he put together this acquisition. But it chronicles his journey from the streets of Baltimore to this big time corporate player. And so he was able to navigate the world of corporate America. And at the time, it was unprecedented that people were African Americans were putting together deals like this. And so it really left an indelible impression on me. All right. So who moved my cheese, and why should white guys have all the fun? All right.
I just wrote that down, so I'm gonna look that up as soon as we get off.
Yeah, good book. All right. Next question. What tool or resource has helped or been the most useful in your business or your personal life? Tool or resource?
Well, tool or resource. Yeah. So do you mean physical?
So let me give you mine, and then you'll understand the question, right? So I just discovered this tool called Loom. So I have been trying to put together, this is a shameless plug, but we do business credit, and I had my app developer develop a web app to help our clients move through the business credit building process. I'm really, really proud of it. But I had been trying to put together a video explaining how to register and move through the app. And I was listening to some other podcast, and somebody brought up Loom. I looked at it and I said, oh my God, this is exactly what I need, because it allows me to, what Loom allows me to do is it allows me to do a screen capture and a video at the exact same time. So it records my face, my voice, and it also records the screen. So it's like putting together FaceTime and Zoom all in one. It is an incredible tool, incredible resource. So that's mine.
Wow. Can I save that one for last? I'm still thinking about that.
Sure. So right? It could be a book, it could be a website that you found, it could be whatever. All right. Okay. So let's go to the next question.
Okay.
What is one of the biggest hurdles you had to overcome in your journey? Again, either personal or professional.
I would definitely say breaking into sports was definitely a hurdle for me, but also losing my mother. My mother was my blanket. My mother was, our mothers, right? You can always go back to your mom's house, God forbid. But it grew me up, I would say, quicker than I realized. Like, I thought going away to college grew me up, and it did, right? Being a inner city kid, now you're away, Virginia, you can't just go get a slice of pizza. You know what I mean? You can't get on a train, things of that nature. But I think there was just so many. So I want to say 3. Going away to college, going to specifically HSBCU, number 1. Number 2, losing my mother, and then having to be the guardian for my brother and make sure, it wasn't just me. And I would say 3, breaking into the sports and entertainment industry, because that was kind of something that I had to finagle by myself.
Sure. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's those are tough things, but you made it clear. So for me, one of the biggest hurdles is not being able to be mentored and being able to get help. So
facts.
Yeah, I'm an only child and fiercely independent. I've been that way most of my life, right? And so it is difficult for me to ask for help. But had I been able to ask for help,
Mm.
had I been able to ask for help, I believe I would have gotten to this place in my life faster or better or both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the biggest hurdles. That's one of the biggest hurdles. All right. Final question. Good. This is good stuff. Final question is, what is one thing you wish you learned earlier in life that would have made life easier? Again, either personal or professional or both.
You may not like this answer, and I think I've said this before. Credit card debt is no joke. I'm learning now, and I'm 45 years old, and I got out of credit card debt back. The first time I got into it, I was in college. I remember that. I remember it coming in the mail, and the guy I was dating and said, don't use it. And I was like, I don't got no money. That $500 went to $14,000, right, in debt. And I get out, early in my 20s, and I stay out all the way. Really, I get back in credit card debt not until the pandemic. So you're talking about a 20-year difference, and it's something I understand it now. I didn't understand it then, but for me, that's it. That's the number one. What was the question? Learning.
What's the number one thing you wish you learned earlier in life?
Yeah, that's it.
That's big. Listen, that's probably on everyone's list, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is on my list as well. But for this question, this time, one of the things I wish I'd learned earlier would have been to invest in the things that I use or enjoy in life.
Oh,
now,
facts.
I learned that lesson when I was about 40. Somebody told me, I never knew how to invest in stocks. I never understood it, right? And I never really researched it. But I knew that I got in the cash flow game. And so I knew that people can make a lot of money in stocks if they understand them, right? And so I met somebody and I said, I don't know how to invest in stocks. They said, well, the easiest way to invest in stocks is just invest in stock of things that you use regularly. So he said, toothpaste, toilet tissue, find out who makes those things if they're publicly traded and invest in the company. So I invested in Procter & Gamble, he said, and then he saw me wearing Jordans. They knew Nike owned or was part owner of the Jordan brand, majority stakeholder in the Jordan brand. So he said, you're wearing Jordans all the time, invest in that brand. Mm-hmm. And so, but had I learned that at 20, I'd be a billionaire.
I feel the same way. I said, if I had learned about the compound effect at 20 and index funds and things of that nature and just kind of leaving it, how much money we would have 20 years later.
Sure.
But
then that goes back to our conversation about being an African American. We don't go into those things because those are scary arenas for us, and we don't have a lot of guidance.
Yeah.
Much more now than then.
Yes. Right? I agree.
Because of the internet, but we didn't have those conversations when we were young, right?
I agree.
So yeah,
it was just about clothes.
Right. That's it. That was it. Who was the best rapper, and what were they wearing? Right. That's what we argued all day about. Who's better, Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas? Right. Yes. So my challenge to people is start having these conversations with your children so they don't have this same conversation 20 years from now, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So did you think about a tool or something?
I did. When you said Loom, I did. I thought about what has, I guess, made my life a little bit better. And I like Digit. And I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but for those who don't know about it, it's an app you can download. It's about $2.99 a month. And it helps you save, in different ways and things of that nature. And I gotta give big props to my Aunt Beverly, who was teaching us in the family. Every time you get a $5 bill, save it and just see how much you rack up. And so I would save it, and then when I go on vacation, I would use that as tips for all the people, in Mexico and Jamaica and things of that nature. And then I would see how much I saved and just put it away. And I gave it to, started saving it with my brother and things of that nature. So I think those two saving tidbits helps.
Perfect. All right, I got one more question for you, but
Okay.
this is more advice than question.
Okay.
You're in marketing.
Yes.
I want you to give our audience a tip, a marketing tip that they can employ that can help their business.
I think the number one tip that any marketer, a person, and I was thinking about another friend, and I said I started thinking about it because he's struggling in his business, right? He started a business that opened a month prior to us shutting down in 2020. So he opened his business in February of 2020, and then the world really shut down March, and so he's been struggling, right, in out, and the number one thing that to me that he and this is what he said, Black man in the Bronx, and he said, I don't have people to talk to. I don't have good people to talk to. And so my number one thing is you have got to network. You can't keep all this information that we're sharing. We can't keep it to ourselves. You have got to go to those. I don't care if it's Zoom, it's virtual. Somebody says, come out. Let's have, I'm meeting some people, someone next week for dinner. And she remember my birthday's in August, and she keeps saying, no, we got to get together. We got to talk. And I know it's more about, our school alumni chapter and things of that nature and bringing people on and things of that nature. But you have no idea when you network, when you meet with people. I told you I meet with my mentor at least once a year. We try to do it a couple of times a year, but I could call him right now and say, hey, I need something real quick. Can you turn it around? And he'll let me know. And so if we don't network as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a salesperson, if we don't, and I love my family and friends, but they can't give you the advice and the expertise if you're facing this. You know what I mean? A lot of them will be like, well, I'll pray for you. I know, you know what I mean? But no, I need you to introduce me to this person over here, because this person over here already weathered the storm that I'm going through right now.
Right.
So
networking, that's the tip.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to give a credit tip. That's what I do, what we do. I'm Kevin, the Credit Crusher. So today's tip is about business, and the business credit tip is Gmail addresses. Guys, if you're running a business, spend the $2.99 a month and get yourself a branded email address. Don't just throw the name of your business in front of @Gmail and call that your business email address. Get something branded like info@promesian.com or info@thevipprincess.com. Use a branded email. You'd be surprised. There are creditors who are throwing out applications because they see that as the email address, and it's just something as trivial as that. So that's the advice I'm going to give today. So thank you for those. Thank you for that tip, Shannon. So here's the deal, Shannon. I want you to tell people where they can connect with you.
Sure. So I'm old school.
Yeah.
You can go find me on Facebook. Shannon Latisse Reynolds. You can find me on LinkedIn. I believe it's Shannon L. Reynolds. You can find me on Instagram at _VIP_princess_. So those are 3 ways you can contact me. Reach out.
And listen, she does a phenomenal job marketing. If you need some outside marketing assistance, you need some outside sales assistance, please contact Shannon. Again, give us those places where they can see you.
Sure. So Facebook, it's my full name, Shannon Latisse Reynolds. Um, LinkedIn is Shannon L. Reynolds. And Instagram is the_VIP_princess_.
Perfect. Well, again, you can find us Promethean Credit Counseling, helping individuals and businesses get access to capital through credit. Our phone number 215-904-8690. Our website is promethean.com. That's PREMISIEN. You can email us at info@promethean.com, and you can find us on all social media platforms at Promethean. PREMISIEN. Check us out on YouTube. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter right now as we speak, all with the name Promethean. We are the Biz Breaks Podcast, coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, broadcasting all around the world and all 50 United States. We are on the Cosmos Radio Network USA platform. That's the platform that's hosting us. Shout out to them. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much for Showtime, the hype man, for allowing us to do the Biz Breaks Podcast. And again, we're going to have some exciting guests and some exciting information each and every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on the Biz Breaks Podcast. Stay tuned until next time, guys.
Bye.